As you know, BAH in general, not just at Davis Monthan, it lags. And this is now, and it has been, the most expensive time to live in America. Housing prices are going up and interest rates are going up. I'm doing this just to let you know exactly what BAH correlates to in terms of home prices. Don't shoot the messenger. I'm a real estate agent. I'm here to help you purchase at the best price that we can get for you, negotiating the best terms. I used to be a full-time negotiator. I was active duty Air Force for 10 years. I was OSI, and now I take my negotiation skills and I help you get the best damn deal when you either buy or sell. So let's start with assumption number 1. With these numbers, I am assuming that you plan on getting a 30-year fixed rate VA loan mortgage. If you plan on getting anything shorter, like I have a 15 loan on one of my properties, that's going to change the numbers. But that's the number one assumption, is you plan on getting a 30-year fixed rate loan, not a variable loan, fixed rate. Assumption number 2 is that because you're using the VA loan, you plan on putting 0% down payment. Of course, the more that you put as a down payment, the less your mortgage is going to be, because it's going to be a smaller loan amount that you're taking out. But for this scenario, in all the scenarios for the rest of the video, is going to be assuming 0% down payment. Assumption number 3 is that you have BAH with dependents. I ran all these numbers assuming that you have dependents. If you do not have dependents, then the number is going to be lower. Assumption number 4 is that your interest rate is either going to be 6.5% or 7%. Economists, as of right now, they're predicting that in 2025, there's going to be a difference between Q1 through Q4, but overall, it's going to be a blanket 6.5 to 7%. That's kind of what they're thinking for VA loans. VA loans give you a lower interest rate, so good for you. So I have done 2 scenarios for each rank. The first one is going to be 6.5%. The second one is going to be 7% interest rates. The 5th assumption that I did is that I'm assuming that you want to use your entire BAH just for PITI, aka your mortgage, principal, interest, taxes, and insurance. So if you plan on purchasing a property that has an HOA, in that case, you would be using part of your BAS to pay for HOA and all utilities. So water, sewer, trash, electric, pest, pool, etc. Because trust me, if you wanted me to run the numbers, including utilities and HOA, you would laugh. Assumption number 6, I think I'm on 6 right now, is that the property taxes are $2,200 a year and that insurance is $1,500 a year. Overall, in Tucson, if you plan on purchasing a resale property, aka someone already lives there and wants to sell it, it's not a new construction, the property taxes are typically 0.8%. Now, if you're purchasing new construction, the property taxes are going to be higher. You're going to see between 1.1 to 1.3%. So I chose something in the middle. So therefore, as you see these numbers, if you plan on getting a resale home, you can at least expect to pay a little bit less on property taxes. Generally speaking, of course, depends on what area, depends on everything else. It depends on a lot. And insurance, I went a little bit high. $1,500 is more than what I pay for on all 5 of my properties in Tucson. I am very bullish in Tucson. I'm also a real estate investor. So once again, I can help you get a good deal, but just want to let you know that those are the numbers that I have assumed for these scenarios. Assumption number 7 is that you would not be paying any points toward lowering your interest rate. As you go shopping around for lenders and shopping around for agents, which I hope that you do, because I only want to work with those that know the value that I provide. So shop around, then come back. And as you're shopping agents, a lot of them will say, oh, yeah, the interest rate right now is 6.5, but with my company, you can get 5.5. And they're not just doing that out of the blue. They're saying that because they're asking you to pay later on. You are going to be paying for that 1% better rate. Now, that's not always a bad thing. I'm just saying, as you're interviewing around and shopping, make sure to get an apples to apples comparison. As you're asking lenders, you want to be asking them, assuming I have a credit score of XYZ, assuming I want a 30-year fixed rate loan with the VA, assuming I don't want to pay any points, what is the interest rate right now? Those are the 3 questions that you want to ask a lender. Of course, they're going to come back and say, I can't guarantee anything because you may only be looking on Credit Karma, and who knows, your credit score may not be what Credit Karma says. So they're going to want to ask to do a soft pull, or you could do a hard pull if you're within 4 months. And the last important note that I want to make is that a lender will most likely qualify you for more. What a lender can do is they can take not just your BAH, but also they can qualify you with 50% of your BAS. So chances are the numbers that I'll be putting on the screen are significantly lower than what you can actually get pre-approved for. What I'm doing is being ultra conservative, and I'm saying if you only wanted to use your BAH for the mortgage, again, you'll be paying extra for utilities. If you only wanted to use the BAH, what could you get? And PS, not every agent is well versed with the VA loan. Not every agent was also prior military and has PCSed 8 times in their life and knows exactly what you're going through. So if you're looking for a good agent, I'm more than happy to see if we would be a good fit. Let's jump on a Zoom call. The link is in the description below. If we both decide that we're going to be a good fit, then perfect. I've helped over 100 clients and I love helping my military community. So let's get started. I'm going to go from highest ranking to lowest ranking. O-6s. Your Tucson BAH with dependents for colonels is going to be $25.44 a month. Using all of the assumptions that I have previously listed out right before this. On the back end, I went to mortgagecalculator.org. This is something that you can also do yourself. It's a public-facing website and it's free. So you can go on there and twiddle with the numbers. So that way you can see exactly what the loan amount would have to be, what the interest rate would have to be in order for you to stay under $25.44. I'll tell you right now, it is having a loan amount, not a property amount, a loan amount of $363,000. That would get you a PITI or principal interest taxes and insurance amount of right below your BAH. This may sound like a lot. This may sound like a little bit depending on your past experience and where you've lived. I will tell you the median sales price from last month, because right now I'm recording this in January 2025. So we only have the most recent month, which was December 2024. The median sales price for a single family house in Pima County was $358,000. So with your 363, you're looking at just above the average 3-bed, 2-bath single family home in Tucson. The average sales price was $422,000, and that is with the 6.5%. If and when you're watching this and rates are 7% or closer to 7%, the amount that your BAH alone would qualify you for is $336,000. Now, of course, if you want to get a property that's a higher purchase price, you'd have to put more down payment, enough so that way your loan that you're taking out is $336,000. This doesn't include HOAs. This doesn't include any other fees, of course. Now let's go to lieutenant colonels. O-5 BAH rate right now, I'm looking at my screen here, is $25.23 for 2025, $2,523. With rates at 6.5%, you're looking at a loan amount of $350,000. If rates go up to 7%, again, which people are predicting, that means that your loan amount for just your BAH to pay for your mortgage would be $333,000. Again, the median sales price of an average, single family home in Pima County was $358,000. So as lieutenant colonel, if rates go up to 7%, you're now looking at below the median sales price home. If you are a major, that's the rank that I separated at after I did a decade. 2388 is what you're looking at. So therefore, if the interest rate is 6.5%, you're looking at a loan of $329,000. If the rates go up to 7%, you would be looking at taking a loan amount of $312,000. Again, you can qualify for more. Most likely, I don't know what your debt to income is. Everyone is so different, but chances are you'd be able to qualify for significantly more, and or you could put more as a down payment. If you are a captain, your BAH, again, with dependents is $21.93, putting you at a 6.5% interest rate. Your loan would be $298,000. If rates reach 7%, you'd be looking at taking out a loan of $200 or a property price of $283,000. This is already starting to get difficult. Anything in the 200s goes pretty fast, relatively speaking, for Tucson and Pima County in general. If you are an O2, 2115 is what you're looking at with dependents. Of course, if you don't have dependents, it's going to be less. For first lieutenants, 2115 is your BAH. So at a 6.5 interest rate, if rates are 6.5 right now or ish, you're going to be looking at a loan amount of $285,000. If rates reach 7%, you're looking at $271,000. And for my butter bars, I say that lovingly. I hated when I got called butter bars. I'm sorry that I just did that to you. Your BAH is $119.29 with dependents. Of course, if you don't have dependents yet, that's less. And so the loan amount for 6.5% interest rate is going to be $256,000. 7% rate, you're looking at $243,000. At this point, we are $100,000 below the median price. Median average price. We're low. So now let's go to the Enlisted. E9s, your BAH for 2025 is $2244, giving you a price of $306,000 at 6.5% interest rate. Otherwise, at 7% interest rate, you're looking at $291,000. You're looking at $2172 with $295,000 loan amount at 6.5%. If rates go higher, of course, your purchasing power gets less. So then we would be looking at, for 7% rate, you're looking at $280,000. E7s, 2145 is your BAH, giving you $290,000 of purchasing power. Again, just from your BAH. Can you qualify for more? Most likely yes, at 6.5%. If rates get up to 7%, then you're looking at a loan amount of $276,000. For you techs out there, your BAH with dependents for 2025 is 2118, therefore giving you purchasing power of $286,000 with 6.5% interest rate. If rates go up to 7%, you're looking at $272,000. Again, the median sales price of a single family home was $358,000 last month, and no one is predicting a crash. Lastly, E5s, your BAH is 1896. So at 6.5% interest rate, you're looking at $251,000. And if the rates go up to 7%, you're looking at purchasing power of $238,000. Now, what does $238,000 equate to? So I'm going to start with the lowest that I have right now, which is assuming for E5s at 7% interest rate, which is going to give you up to $238,000. And I'm going to continue going backwards. So I'm starting from E5s going up. So if you're Lieutenant Colonel, go to the end of this video. So $238,000, you're going to see we do have some properties at still in the 100s, which is kind of crazy. Usually the closer into town that we have, anything below 200 is either a manufactured home or a condo. So likely if you want amenities, you're going to be looking at a condo, but typically below $250,000, you're not getting a garage. You're getting either parking on the street or a 1 to 2 carport. So these are the zip codes that we're looking at here. There's one at 85714. There's one at 85711. Overall, we're looking at properties that are around 1,000 square feet or below. And you can tell here there are a couple of condos. So one condo, a 1 bed, 1 bath is up for $95,000. Let's move up to E6s, which assuming 6.5% will go to $286,000. We now have opened up garages. Of course, there are going to be exceptions. I'm not saying E5s can't get a garage. I'm just saying, generally speaking, for these numbers, okay? Don't shoot the messenger. I just study the market. So a garage here, 2-car garage, and we're looking at zip codes like 85713, 85705. They're kind of scattered all over. You will still continue to see some carports. You're looking at a lot of these are kind of in the central town. I will say, if you are serious about purchasing a property, anything under $300,000 flies. I used to say it fly, and it used to actually fly, where during COVID times, it wouldn't last more than 3 days. Anything under 300,000, like you needed to know what you were looking for before you even stepped into the property. There was no point of stepping into the property if you weren't pre-approved and you weren't 100% certain that you were making an offer, because it was gone by the time we would even drive there. So now things have changed. An average 4-bedroom, 3-bath home is staying on the market for 58 days, 58. So we have some more time, but not all that much time. So that's kind of what we're looking at here. Now let's move up one more to E7s. It doesn't really move too much to, $290,000. Let's go to $295,000 E8s at 6.5%. And I'm going to put a minimum on this now. So here, let's go between $250,000 to $290,000. And now let's take away condos, because at this point, I'm just going to generalize and just say, maybe you have a family, maybe you don't want a townhome. Let's just look at single family homes. So this is what we have so far. As you can tell by the map, it's going to be South Tucson and just north of base. The base is over here. The airport is over here, or TIA, Tucson International. You're going to have a couple scattered scattered in the Flowing Wells area or just north of University of Arizona. This is 85719 zip code, just so you know. Now let's move to E9s or $306,000. And as you can tell, we have now more properties in North Tucson here, Kleindale, near the TMC or Tucson Medical Center. And we've opened up a lot on the east side. If you haven't watched any of my other videos, I've lived in 8 different parts of Tucson, so I know exactly how it is to live in each part of town. Living on the east side, if you plan on going to San Diego or up north to Phoenix, getting to the highway is going to take you, depending, of course, how far east you are. I used to live in Bear Canyon, in this area over here. It would take me 45 minutes to get from Bear Canyon just to the highway, because it's just red light, red light, red light, or even if it's green, there's a lot of traffic there. It's only 2 lanes. It's a headache. So if you know that you're going to be on the interstate a lot, I would advise against the east side. With that said, a lot of people like living on the east side. So of course, it's all personal preference. So this is the type of properties that we're looking at here. We're looking at a lot of 85747 too. This is the Rita Ranch area that's in the Vail School District. We're looking at a couple of 1-stories, but also 2-stories. Generally speaking, for houses that are pretty similar, if the only difference is 1-story versus 2 stories, the 1-story is priced higher because it's Tucson. We have more older people. So people like 1-stories versus 2-stories. So if everything else is the same, the 2-story will likely be cheaper, just so you are aware. Anything that looks like this type of property is in an HOA community. So that's what we're looking at here. Now let's go to O1s. I covered up to the 286 for O2s. You can go back there, the 300 for O3s. Let's go to, what is this? Majors from $312,000 to $329,000. I now want to zoom out because at this point we have opened up Marana. Up until this point, I hadn't opened up Marana, but a lot of people like to live in Marana because it's so close to the highway. And if they have friends or family or just like Phoenix, it's that much closer to Phoenix. And there's a couple of pretty big new build or new construction areas where surprisingly you'll see a lot of people that move in and then sell their property a year later or maybe 2 years later. So it's still almost a brand new property. It's only 2 years old, but you can get it at not that steep of the price that the previous person purchased it at, relatively speaking. So I hope that makes sense. So taking a look broadly over here, we have garages for the most part, some 1-stories, some 2-stories. This would be a property that is not in an HOA. So, like the cookie cutter type homes, there are a lot of them in Tucson. A lot. It's pretty hard to find a property that's not in an HOA. And we're kind of looking all over. So we have north of base, because again, this is base. East side, we have a lot on the east side. We have a lot in Corona to Tucson. And Sahuarita and Green Valley are also pretty popular. I would say Sahuarita more so than Green Valley just because of the distance. Green Valley is very, very popular amongst 55 plus communities. It's a lot more sleepy. It's a lot more like relaxed. Sahuarita is like a town of its own. It's pretty cool. I've made other videos on it. They have like the pretty nice sized man-made lake, and it looks different. It doesn't feel like you're in Tucson, which could be good, which could be bad, depending on what you like. I get a lot of comments on this saying, you don't like Tucson. I'm like, no, yeah. Doesn't matter what I like. It matters that I can get you the best damn deal that I can. So here we go. A lot of properties also will have solar loans. Beware of solar leases. It's almost like these buyers, man, or these homeowners just want to do whatever it takes to get a low electric bill, and they'll pay for $50,000 lease where the solar doesn't even end up becoming their property at the end of the lease. It just starts over. So my opinion, very short-sighted, or they're gaming the system where they're trying to game the system where they think that they're going to be getting a low bill. They're getting a low electric bill for the time that they live there, but then when they go to sell the property, it shoots them in the foot tenfold because nobody wants to take over a $50,000 lease for a couple of solar panels where they still have to pay an electric bill as well as a solar lease. Nobody wants to do that. So please be mindful of that. Now, enough said about that. Now let's go to O5s between $333,000 and $350,000 homes. Now we have opened up some pools in the backyard. Up until this point, you could have a pool, but it would be a community pool with an HOA. A lot of times, generally speaking, if you're going to be purchasing in an HOA community, you're not going to have a pool in your backyard. Sometimes they'll let you add one, but adding a pool is at least $70,000. So just so you know, now we're up into the 4-bedroom type properties. We're kind of scattered all over. Let's zoom out a bit, and we've opened up a lot more on the southwest side. We've opened up Catalina Foothills and Oro Valley. Catalina, I don't think a lot of people live up here. Saddlebrook is a really big 55 plus community. This is a drive from Tucson. I mean, from Davis Monthan. So that's one heck of a drive. But a lot of people like to live in the Casas Adobes area, the Tortolita area. It's pretty cute. Depends on what you're looking for. And now we have entered the beginning prices of new builds. So anything that looks like this is either not yet constructed, pretty much they're in construction. The thing with new construction is you could qualify for more because a lot of times, as of right now, they still have really, really good interest rates. So to get their interest rates though, which at this time is like 4%, maybe 4.5, they change, plus it varies per lender, per time period, like per month. Even though you can get a lower interest rate, you cannot really budge on the price. Like barely anything. That's just, it is what it is. To get the interest rate, you do have to use their lender, just so you know, for the most part. Now let's take a look at O-6s. So kernels between 6.5 and 7% interest rate, we're looking at $336,000 and $363. So let's make those adjustments and you will see that even more have popped up, which is to be expected because again, anything under $200,000 or even $300,000 goes very fast in Tucson. A lot more have opened up in Corona de Tucson. We have more opened up on the west side here and even more in Casas Adobes area. This is now pushing the envelope where we are going into the median sales price of Tucson, Arizona. Just so you know, I'm sharing my screen. So December 2024, the median sale price, $358,000. The average was $422,000. The median days on market, that's DOM, it's 34 days for that type of property. So for a 4-bed, 3-bath home, you are looking at median days of 58 at this time. Things change. I'm recording this in the winter of 2025, the beginning of the winter, January. So things are going to change. They typically go even faster in the summer. If interest rates have changed to something aside from 6.5 to 7%, if they're higher, if they're lower, if you have a question, I am more than happy to help you. If you know that you want to work with me, or if you want to at least test the waters and see if we would be a good fit, the best way to get a hold of me, actually right now, the only way to get a hold of me is to schedule a call with my calendar link below. That's going to schedule us a 30 to 45 minute, maybe an hour time block. Please have all buying parties on the call. I'll be asking you to fill out a questionnaire beforehand so that way I get a sense of what we're looking for, what type of property you're looking for. In that call, we're going to cover 3 things. The first thing is going over your intake form, which is exactly what you're looking for. We're going to narrow down your criteria even more because you'll see that once you know exactly what you're looking for, all of those properties that we just saw on Zillow, all these red dots, we're going to narrow that down to 5 to 7 properties. So that'll be the first part of the call. The second part is going to be covering the Tucson market at the time that we meet. So essentially, what can you expect? How fast do we have to place an offer? How aggressive can we be? As of right now, it's still a seller's market. We can't be that aggressive, with that said, I'm still getting my clients under appraisal price. So like below list price and under appraisal price, it's a win-win. We're getting like $10,000 to $15,000 of sellers paying my buyer's concessions, aka toward my buyer's closing costs. So it's super, super good at this time for buyers, even with it still being technically a seller's market. So I'll be covering the Tucson market. The third part is going to be covering agency. What I can expect of you, which is the biggest thing, is that you would only be working with me, and what you can expect of me, what service that I provide, how exactly we're going to move forward, and the timeline. So that way we can get all the pieces together, leave the hard work up to me, because I know that PCSing is stressful. I did it 8 times in my 10 years. And I'm more than happy to help you. So those are the 3 things that I will be covering. After that call, I will be sending you the buyer broker agreement if it's not already in your inbox by the time of our call. Once you sign it, that is when I can start working with you. Whether you're ready to go or have questions, I will see you on the Zoom call. Until then, thank you for serving and happy PCS season.